tonight. We're going to be picking who's going to score first, of course, what's the score of the game going to be, and all of those sort of things like that. Okay. Okay, well, I'll do this for like 8 minutes. Hello, this is the Pearlo Wisdom Show. This is what I do daily here at between 3 and 5 Eastern on my channel, the Pearlo Wisdom channel. And we do the Pearlo Wisdom Show. And I got a question. We do like question. They ask me questions. I ask them questions. That them being the people in the chat. It's an interactive show, so we talk back and forth and all that stuff like that. And John Weichel is asking, should the Leafs rebuild? And I think that it's not really possible to rebuild. But for me anyways, I think trading one of their big 4 or 5 has got to happen here now. It's unfortunate that it's had to happen this way. But when Dubas made this plan, he had a plan that revolved around the cap raising every year. And they were going to keep on adding guys as the cap went up. And then COVID hit and pretty much screwed that all up. The flat cap absolutely ruined the plan for the Maple Leafs and for Dubas. So now I don't think there's much you can do but trade one of the big players. Now, which player are you going to trade? It's been Jeff Saint, one of the people that come on here, said that maybe they trade Tavares. And I just think that's not a great idea, because after they begged Boyle and Steele to get Tavares in there, like, they did everything. They convinced him in every way possible. I'm sure they gave him promises for the future and all of those sort of things like that. And to now trade him, I think, would ruin the reputation of the Maple Leafs. And you say, well, what does it matter about reputation? Well, it matters in the sense that if you want to get free agents, they're not really, it's hard to get free agents if they think you're just going to treat them like just treat them like they're a pawn you can throw away whenever you want. You bring them all in, do what you did. I know they don't, you bring them in and then throw them away like that. So I don't see that happening. I just can't see Tavares being traded. Not to mention, with this $10 million salary and his age, maybe you're not getting max value that you need to do depth, to bring depth into the organization. And that's really what you'd be making a trade like this for, is to bring depth into the organization, because we all know that the problem in Toronto is their depth, right? They got 4 big guys. Last year they tried to go out and get like Thorntons and guys for like $1 million, 40-year-old guys to fill the roster, and it didn't work. It didn't work. Now you can make a case that if Tavares didn't get injured, they beat Montreal, and maybe we're not talking so much about this. But I don't think that they would have gone much further even if they did meet Montreal, because they just simply don't have the depth. There's no way you're trading Matthews. No way are you trading maybe the best scoring forward, shot forward we've seen, at least since Ovechkin. And if not, one of the top in the world that ever has been already. He's an incredible shot. There's no way they're trading him. Nylander's on a beautiful contract right now at $6-7 million. Probably going to pull 90 points next year, I would say. At least a point a game guy. So I don't see them trading Nylander. The only guy I can see them trading is Marner. And then there's been talk about trading Riley, but that's a very difficult trade because you got to get the same kind of defenseman back. it's also something we didn't mention. There's not just the forward depth problem. There's a defensive depth problem. So it's if they need somebody that they're gonna be able to trade away and get a lot of pieces back. That's what I'm really trying to say. And Marner would. The other teams aren't going to care that he didn't score in his last 18 games in the playoffs. I mean, maybe a little bit, of course, but when it comes right down to it, there are very few wingers in the league that can even come close to Marner. It's hard to find a guy that can put up probably 100 points. And they say, well, he's more of a passer. So what? Joe Thornton was more of a passer. He's still going to go to the Hall of Fame. He's still, in his prime, people would be all over him trying to acquire him. And they're going to be all over Toronto if they decide to go that Marner route. They're going to get a lot back. If they trade Riley, they got to get a defenseman as good as Riley back, and that's just not likely. If they trade Marner, they could go to, like, say, St. Louis, they could go to, like, Columbus and trade, and they don't need to get a center back. That's the huge thing here. They don't have to get a center back. So they could go and get Jones, maybe, and then, a whole bunch, like Tessier, guys that are ready to play right now. Tessier, that are not too expensive, because you're trading Marner. You got $11 million. Jones is probably going to get $8 to $9 million in a contract. So, that doesn't leave you all that much. But I'm just spitballing here some of the teams that could pick up a guy like Marner. I think Detroit would be interested, although that's in the division, so it might be a difficult trade. There's going to be a lineup of teams, and I would say you try to get players that are ready to play right now back. Why would you say Seth Jones does? He's from Texas, so maybe he doesn't. But he doesn't have a no-trade clause, so he doesn't have much of a... I guess he doesn't have a no-trade clause. The problem with Seth Jones, of course, is you got to know if you're going to re-sign him if you're going to make that trade. So that would be the difficult thing there. You got to know if you're going to